sometimes you'll be surprised who is on your Facebook page. I've been friends with this guy probably for over a year now on Facebook, and I cannot believe it. He has his own YouTube channel. Not only his own YouTube channel, he's letting people know, hey, not only am I Puerto Rican and I'm proud of it, but I'm also a conservative. I'm a Republican. You know what? If you got beef, come to this page. He'll set you straight, ladies and gentlemen. The one and only Carlos Lizarde. How you doing, Carlos?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you? How are you, Joseph?
I'm doing good, man. You know, I try not to. I had one conservative person on this page, Karen Turks. You may have heard of her. She was a very nice lady. And I try not to keep this very political, but I always tell people, you know, where I stand. I'm not afraid to tell people where I stand, but I never go out of my way to make this page political because I'm going to be honest with you. I want that liberal money. And let's face the facts, YouTube is a very liberal channel, especially if you're just starting off like you and me.
Yep.
You know, you need that balance of, you know, liberalism. Like, hey, look, you know.
Well, you know, that's why I consider myself more libertarian because there's some issues, like, let's say, especially when it comes to like drug laws, I'm not necessarily lockstep with conservatives. So that's one of the reasons why I won't deny that label, but I prefer the libertarian label just because the fact that like when it comes to drugs, I'm more of legalization, decriminalization, and the drug law and the drug war, as opposed to, you know, keeping a failed drug war that's been going on for what, 50 years, 60 years?
Yeah, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that mean, you know, that's why I had someone on my page that he's a old school Democrat, not these crazy lefties that we have now. I had, you know, an old school Democrat that, you know, what you call it, middle of the road, a blue dog Democrat that he used to call him, you know.
It's funny how crazy the Democratic Party has gotten. I mean, the pandering, like watching Maxine, I think she was part of it. Maxine Waters and Nancy Pelosi and a bunch of different Democratic congressmen or senators kneeling with the little African scarves.
Yes.
And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, like, nobody is really believing this. And guess what? I was wrong, because people, I mean, they pander to, it's almost like they want to keep racial tensions between the whites and the blacks. It's no in between. There's no like, look, we want, and then, you know, look, we're both the same Puerto Rican blood that flows through your veins is the same type of Puerto Rican blood that flows through my veins. So my daddy was really a milkman. However, you didn't get that joke. However, you know, they try to put the Latinos into the mix too. Like, hey, like with the shootings, like, hey, the black and brown people are scared to go outside. Like, don't put us into this.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's like the kid that got shot in Chicago, the Spanish kid that got shot in Adam Toledo or something like that. I forget. You know, I think he's Spanish because the last name sounds Spanish. But, you know, how many Spanish parents are looking at it and go, my 13-year-old ain't gonna be outside at that time at night?
I know my dad was like, I don't know what type of other fathers people had, but my dad, you know, let me just give you a little background. My dad was born in Galles. I hope I'm saying this right, because all the Puerto Ricans are like, man, you need to show. He was born in Galles, Puerto Rico. Was raised in Caguas. Thank you.
Okay.
Did I say it right?
Caguas. It's
it doesn't matter.
Caguas, something like that, right?
It doesn't matter. I'm Southern. Anyway, he was raised in Spanish Harlem. You know, he grew up on the mean streets of Harlem. 2 tours of Vietnam.
Wow.
He's a tough son. Did you think growing up, my dad let me out at 3 o'clock in the morning?
Nope.
Did you think at one time? Did you think at one time I was allowed to even talk in his presence?
Oh yeah, no, that's my father. My father is the same way. My father, like, you answered back to him. Whatever was in hands reach, that's what you're going to get hit with. Whether it was a hanger, a chancleta, a belt, whatever was handy, even if it was like a wire, that's what they were going to use.
Now that was more my mom. My dad used these.
My dad used both. If there was nothing within, because he didn't want to hurt his hand, because he was a handyman. So it was like whatever was in hand, whatever was within reach. That's what you're going to get.
Isn't it good two Latinos get together and talk about the verbal and physical abuse of the fathers?
Well, it's good to see that we're not screwed up like they put out in the in the literature and all that stuff that if you beat your kids, they're gonna come out this way. And it's like, do you see the softness that's going on in this generation and how we have a lack? They talk about toxic masculinity when we really have a lack of masculinity in our culture.
Right. And not only that, we got a lot of brainwashed people in this culture right now, and it's shocking. Stuff that I'm going to go back 10 years ago. Stuff that the left believes 10 years ago not only would be horrifying, but racist. You take stuff, I'm gonna tell you straight up, this conversation may not make it to YouTube, but we're gonna try it out. You talk about abortions. Now they're talking about abortions up to 9 months. That's like 10 years ago. We would never even thought about something like that.
That's what I talked about with with the Democrat. He's like, I told him my stance is old school Democrat stance. Safe, legal, and rare. Not up to 9 months. It's like my son was born at 24 weeks.
Right.
My son was in the NICU for 3.5 months. So it's like, to tell me that at 24 weeks, at 25 weeks you could abort a baby. My son, lived after being born early, and you're gonna abort a baby at 25 weeks.
Right.
It's sick. It's sick.
And not only that, the racial tension. Do you realize I grew up on a majority black city, and I grew up with a lot of black kids in the neighborhood. And if I were to go up to a black kid and talk about my white privilege, how much, I'm not saying I would got my, but I'm saying is it would have been a fight. Please. And not only that, I'll probably be known as a racist.
I grew up, I'm like you, I'm a light-skinned Latino, and most of my friends growing up.
You're light-skinned Latino. I'm half Latino. See, it's a difference. See, I can go to east side. See, if I want to go eat the let me see, bacalao and rice and pastelas, I can go over here. But if I want to eat some cornbread and
collard greens,
dressing and collard greens and eat like a country boy, I can go over here. See, it's a little different. See, your Thanksgiving is a little different than my Thanksgiving. You see how it works? See, I go eat the pastelas, but then I can go eat the turkey. You see how I mean?
I'm not a turkey person anyway. Either like half Puerto Ricans, or some darker skinned Puerto Ricans, or just plain black. And they used to make fun of me for being light skinned. They used to call me Rice. That was my nickname because I was the short, fat white one. And
that's actually a cool nickname.
Rice? No. But I remember
as kids, we get offended too easily. But I would have gone with that.
Well, the problem was, they, because of my light skin, they were like, "Oh, you're not really Puerto Rican. You're not really Puerto Rican." So, they're like, "Oh, I'm gonna call you white boy. I'm gonna call you white boy." And one time there was a white cop, and he was listening to all of that, and he grabbed me and said, "Hey, what about if I call you an effing?" And I'm just there like, what the? I was like 8 years old, and I still remember that to this day. But I don't hold it against all police officers. It's just against that idiot.
One bad cop doesn't make bad cops.
No.
Does that make sense?
No, it makes perfect sense.
You know, you can't look. I got pulled over one time. This is like 2008 in my hometown, and the cop was a bully. And that's one instant. As a private investigator, I deal with cops all the time. I've dealt with cops that are bullies, and I've dealt with cool cops. Like, hey, you're a private investigator? Okay, well, show me your identification, and I'll leave you alone. And then there's some, like in certain towns in a certain neighborhood, that are going to give you a very hard time.
No, yeah.
It is what it is. But you follow the directions of the cop, nothing happens. So, like, it's a stereotype going on right now that black kids have to put their hands on the steering wheel at, 11 o'clock and 2 o'clock. Guess what? I was taught that in driver's ed. I didn't know that was like the law, like the rules changed just for black people. Like literally in driver's ed, I was taught that. And then all of a sudden I'm looking at like speeches. Why as a black American do I have to put my hands on the steering wheel? Because that's what it was taught to us in driver's ed. Is this new? This is like it's some things that are just happening right now that is becoming new.
Well, people think it's new, issue. But it's about their safety and honestly, and your safety too. Because it's like the cops need to see your hands. They don't know who you are. To yourself, you're an innocent person, and to them, they don't know. Until they run who you are. Exactly.
Hell, I don't even do the steering wheel thing no more. When if I'm doing a case and I get stopped or I get caught behind me, I get my license, I get my PI license, I get my driver's license, my PI license, and I stick my hands outside the door so they can see my hands with my two my two IDs. I want them to see my hands. Just in case they do accidentally shoot me or shoot me for no apparent reason. The camera shows like my hands were right here. That's protecting me. And it's also protecting the cop because guess what? I may or may not have a gun right there in my right there. So I don't want, if I do have a gun, I want to make sure my hands are right there. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Who's the one that fell asleep at the Wendy's?
Right.
Okay.
Now the shooting and everything, you may have your own opinion on everything. Truth be told, it was a justified shooting. People with common sense will tell you that. Yeah, I'm not too far behind for a debate. If you want to debate me on it.
Oh no! If it's the case, I'm thinking it's the one who, when he was he went back to he grabbed the taser from the
right.
And he shot it.
I wasn't talking about you debate. Yeah, I wasn't talking about you debating. I was talking about anybody else who doesn't want to debate me about it was as a justified shooting. My problem is simply this. It's not with the cop, and it's not with Paul. It's not with Rashad Brooks. It's with Paul Howard, the DA, who went on TV, and the mayor of Atlanta, who went out of their way because of political agenda, tried to ruin these cops' lives, who are making $30,000-$40,000 a year, and they will go out of the way and try to ruin these people's life who has families, who just got up in the morning and just want to do a job. And then District Attorney Paul Howard goes on there and says, hey, a taser is not a lethal weapon. But then 2 weeks prior to that, he was talking about how cops use a taser and it's a lethal weapon.
Yep, I remember hearing about that. Yeah.
This is where the left is right now, and people are. I used to think that people couldn't be brainwashed. Now I know that people are brainwashed.
I don't know. I want to see the best in people. I don't. There's some. Don't get me wrong. I think there's some brainwashed people. I just think that there's people who just want to live and let live so much, and they just get to a point where they let even the stupidest things roll off of them when they just got to be like, nah, you know, we gotta fight back against that. That's just stupid. You know, like the what's that, Micaiah Bryant, where the LeBron James put the picture of the cop and said you're next, and it's like you delete the tweet and then you don't even apologize for it when you were stupid for posting a picture of a cop who shot in protection of another black woman or black girl.
There's some people right now that still think this cop should go get, instead of getting a medal, which he should, there's still people right now that think that he should go to prison. It's like, it's like if that was your daughter and the cop saw, like, I swear to you, honest God, Lord, please help me on this one. If I see a video of somebody trying to stab my daughter and the cop doesn't shoot that mother effer,
yep. Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be, and my daughter dies, it's going to be hell to pay.
Yeah.
Lord knows. And Lord, I don't mean I threaten the cop. I don't mean threaten. I'm not a,
well, it's not even like that.
I'm not a badass.
It's not even that, I'm going after them legally. The cop's gonna get hurt by his wallet because it's like there's nothing I could do, So I'm gonna sue. I'm just gonna sue him. Just sue the city and
My wife. Oh, well, I'm not gonna tell you who said it. I guess I let someone told me. What if that was a white girl who she tried to stab? The hell that would have been like. This would have been.
Oh, forget about it. Oh, he only shot her because she was black and the girl was white. Of course, you would get that. It's it would be ridiculous.
It's getting it's getting bad. The Jacob Blake shooting. That, and we're bringing up old news because people need to know this is not a black and cop issue. This is dumb cops and dumbasses issue.
Jacob Blake himself, he admitted to it. This is what it took because you don't hear about Jacob Blake anymore. Because what happened when he did an interview on TV, he admitted to having the knife.
Right.
So that story, that's why you don't hear about it no more. The only thing you hear about is Kyle Rittenhouse. You don't hear about the BS that, it was an unjustified shooting. No, he admitted he had a knife and he had kidnapped the kids and they were in the car. And people don't talk about that.
Still did. To some people, it still doesn't matter.
Oh, I know it doesn't. But
I promise you. Black Lives Matter is still, tearing up Portland. Antifa is still tearing up Portland. I mean,
but the news don't talk about it. The news don't talk about it. It doesn't fit their agenda. They want to,
It's always the capital. Let's go back to January.
That's why. Look, let's do some math here. The right got pissed off, and they rioted once, January 6th. Okay, let's give them Charlottesville.
Allegedly,
yeah,
allegedly.
I know. Well, I know. I said let's give them Charlottesville. Let's say 2. Okay, so let's say 2, right? What the hell you call all summer last summer? You had Portland 60 days. They were attacking the courthouse, the federal courthouse in Portland for 60 days. That's not an insurrection. It's a federal building. But they don't talk about it in terms of insurrection.
Yeah, it's the hypocrisy is so big on the left right now, and this is coming from a former Democrat. I mean, you take somebody like Susan Rosenberg.
I'm from New York, so I mean,
right. Let's take somebody like Susan Rosenberg. She actually bombed the Capitol building. I think 1982, 1983. I think somewhere around there. And, now she's a socialist Democrat. And, she's a big supporter of Black Lives Matter. And she's a hero in the Democratic Party. Nobody brings that up. Let's talk about, let's get off cop shooters for a second. Let's talk about packing the courts. Biden and Kamala Harris.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
Both was like, they wouldn't even talk about packing the courts. And they were like, and sometimes you do hear, maybe I could be wrong, You heard something like, no, we're not going to pack the courts. You know, now Democrats plan to add 4 justices to give them majority of the Supreme Court, which is like, wow. You know what's going to happen? Republicans are going to take over the House and the Senate and new president. And guess what? And they're going to start packing, you know, add an extra seat.
I did that in a video. I talked about that in the video. I said the same thing. I said, what's going to happen? I said, if the Democrats were serious about it being about representation and all that nonsense, because they go, oh, well, you know, there's 13 court districts, so we should have 13 justices. I go, okay, if you were serious about it, then let's put 2 Republicans and 2 Democrats if you're about representation, if it's not about power play. But it's about power grab. So it's like, no, we're going to put 4 leftist judges there. So like that, we could push through our agenda, because what's going to happen? They did the playbook when Trump was president. What did they do? Whenever Trump did anything, he tried to pass stuff, and he went through. Then they fight him in the courts. He passed an executive order. When he did, when he passed the executive order against DACA. Well, what was DACA? An executive order that Obama did. Well, Trump did an executive order of his own, and then the court said, "No, you can't." What? You're just doing, you know. So that's what they need to do. They need the power in the courts, because they say that the right has politicized the court, but if you look at all these big cases, they're all cases that passed on the left. Abortion, you know, gun, except for like you know, some gun restrictions, you know, go through the courts, and they pass through the courts. Finally, the Supreme Court's going to hear a gun case. I'm excited about that.
Well, I know this, you know. Only thing I can say else about this whole situation is basically it is getting to the point where if my great grandfather knew what Biden and Kamala was going to do, he would never voted for them. Think about that for a second.
Yes, I caught it.
Okay. We got to watch what we talk about on YouTube. Can't say it. You can't say stuff.
You can't even imply it. I know. Trust me. I know. I remember I did a video. I forgot what I did a video on, and purposely I didn't put it.
Words.
Well, no, I'm not going to say what the video. I purposely didn't put it on YouTube, because I figured if I put it on YouTube, it's not going to show. They're just going to, you know, not show it. Or worst case scenario, they're going to give me a strike to my channel. So it's not worth it. So what I did,
right?
I just put it on I put it on Rumble. That's it. That's all I did.
And it is what it is. And people ask me, you know, I remember talking to Karen Turk, and I said, you know, celebrities, all they want to do is say F Trump, F Trump. The Rock, one of the best professional wrestlers of all time, come on and talking about, where are you, Mr. President, during all this time. You know, I understand. I get it. They got a career to protect, and they know they have to go left. Because, I mean, look at Vince Vaughn, one of the greatest actors probably in the history. Well, in my opinion, he's not.
No, he's great. He does. Opinion. I mean, he does both comedy and dramatic roles. So it's like he's good.
Funny as hell. But as soon as he let people know his political beliefs, and now he's like not a big star no more. Like, really?
Well, it's like you don't even have to. You don't even have to not say anything. Look at this guy, Chris Pine, the guy from Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
Look at him. Has never talks about politics, never says anything. The worst he did was he wore a flag, a Gadsden flag, and he talks about his Christianity. That's it. That's all he's ever done.
But in this all fairness, people still like him.
Well, that's the whole thing.
He's still a big star.
They've tried to cancel him, but you have people like Iron Man, crap.
Robert Downey Jr.
Robert Downey Jr. There you go. Sorry. Couldn't remember his name for sure. I had a brain fart, but he came to his defense. He's like, no, listen, he's a good guy. Not only behind, not only is he a good actor, but he's a good person in real life. Leave him alone. He doesn't push his beliefs on no one. He does his thing. Leave him be. Basically, I'm paraphrasing what he said, but that's the only reason why he's not canceled. It's because the fact that if he is conservative, he keeps it to himself. He doesn't publicize it, which most likely he is because he likes guns. He has his own farm, and he's religious. He's a religious Christian. So,
you spoke about LeBron James. I've never been a fan of LeBron James ever since 2011. Now, I shouldn't say I've never been. From the early 2000s. I wanted him to get that championship ring when he played for Cleveland.
Mm-hmm.
But when he did that thing in
the
2011
decision
with that,
that decision. Yeah. Oh, I hated that.
That's when I was like, I just thought.
And then, you know what? It turned off his legacy. It took away his legacy. If he would have just won, this is the irony. He's been chasing championships so he could match Michael Jordan, but Michael Jordan won it for the same team. Right. He didn't jump ship to go on different teams to win championships.
He didn't go. Yeah, he didn't go play with Charles Barkley and Karl Malone.
Yeah,
he
didn't play with Patrick Ewing.
Yeah, I'm not a Knicks fan, so
Well, I am. So
shouts out to John Starks. Anyway, my position on it was this: I really lost respect for him. Not only with this, I'm already lost respect. I think he's a bitch. Straight up, LeBron James is a bitch. Straight up.
Well, that's usually when I talk in private about him, I'll call him Le, and you can fill in the rest.
Yeah, I go on YouTube and tell him straight up. We did a top 10, me, Raphael and I, and we did a top 10 of the greatest basketball players of all time. And LeBron, the whole joke was LeBron James is a bitch. It's true. He's a bitch.
Oh, he not only he flops like dude, you're 6'9", was it 280 pounds, and someone touches you like this, and you're like, yeah. I'm like, I hate when he does that.
I lost respect for him when I saw this on TV. It was a guy who paid his money to come see a basketball game, and he had a Make America Great Again hat on. And LeBron James was taking some tape off or something. And the guy, this old guy who paid thousands of dollars to sit in the seat just to come watch him play, he was like, and LeBron James just threw it on the ground right in front of him on purpose and then stared him down and walked off.
Yeah.
To me, for that, you're a bitch. You're straight up a bitch. But that said, the right is as guilty as everybody, as my beliefs as well. Because you know what? A lot of people sit there and have this thing about, if you don't believe what I believe, I just disown you. Like, I've been blocked off Facebook. I don't even get befriended no more. I get blocked. Like, they don't even just unfriend me no more. They block me. I've had so many relatives, both conservative and both Democrat, has blocked me on Facebook. It's not I'm talking. I mean it. At the bottom of my heart, they don't unfriend me. They block me. It's not like it's just an unfriend and then carry on with the life. They have to go in there in the settings.
I don't know if I have had anyone block me. I know I had a bunch of people unfriend me because, and the irony, I have someone who unfriended me and blocked me because she would comment on my wife's stuff. Like, my wife would post something and then I'd comment and then she'd get mad at my comment. Well, you're commenting on my wife's stuff. My wife is very similar politically leaning as I am, and you're commenting.
Now, is your wife Latino?
Yes, she's Puerto Rican also.
No, y'all both from New York?
Yep. I know, it's crazy too. Cool. New York. Well, she grew up around cops, so you know, so she, even though her sister is not very political, her brother-in-law is political, and even my mother-in-law. My mother-in-law, she voted Democrat her whole life until Trump. Trump was the first time she voted. She voted Republican because she's like she can't stand all this stuff that's going on. She doesn't like the political wokeness, this leftist stuff. She doesn't like it. It turns her off.
Right.
You know, it's not even Trump's policy. It was just the policies of this, like you said, the pandering policies and you know, just the stupid things that come out of their mouth. I mean, when you talk, like you said, like systematically racist, if this country was systematically racist, how is LeBron James a billionaire? How is Oprah Winfrey a billionaire?
But that's a better example. LeBron James is a billionaire because of his basketball skills. Let's talk about a woman that has, and she is more out there. I don't know what she's doing because she believes she spreads the too. But
oh yeah,
let's talk about a woman who actually dealt with real racism and as a black woman, made it from the humble beginnings all the way to being the richest person in this country.
Mm-hmm.
And she should be the one saying, hey, look, listen, this is not right here. What you can do is, though, you work hard. Look, I came from nothing. I was a black woman in the South. I believe she was from the South. I dealt with real racism. I dealt with the crap, the bad history in America, and I made it to the top. And you can do it too. But instead, it's this white privilege. If you're white, you have a better chance of making it. Trust me, there's a lot of white people don't have a chance in hell because of their parents.
No.
You know, and look, there's a lot of Latinos, a lot of Puerto Ricans out there that don't have a chance because of their parents.
Or, well,
I'm telling you right now,
lack of parents. That's really the problem.
No, well, they got parents. They just parents. I'm telling you this right now. The problem is right now you got parents or you got no parents. And be honest with you, you know, these people like Oprah Winfrey can, like, in President Obama. President Obama has a opportunity that he wasted. But he cares more about his political agenda than.
Well, that's what happened. You know, he ran on hope and change. This was the whole problem. He ran on hope and change, and he was this, you know, messianic figure, and everybody like, oh, you know, racism's gone, and you know, we could, you know, the country could move on. And 2012, he saw he was going to lose. You know, he saw he was losing. He was going to lose re-election. So what he did, identity politics. He pushed it hardcore, and the results are, honestly, if the Democrats want to blame anyone for Trump, they should blame Obama, because what he did in 2012, and then the fact they could blame themselves because they chose Hillary, because the people didn't want Hillary, they wanted Bernie, and they, you know, those super delegates helped push Bernie over the top. I mean, Hillary over the top. So if they want to blame anyone for Trump, they need to look to themselves, because they're the ones that did it.
The Democrats are crazy, and it's only getting worse, y'all. I really do believe. I mean, it's this. Sometimes I look and I'm just sitting there like, wow, the stuff that is happening. You know, with kids and sexual stuff, and I can't go too much detail into that. You know,
oh yeah, no, I know.
Trump. I can't go too much detail on that, because the fact is we have a platform like YouTube, who is supposed to be about free speech, and come on here and you can say what you want to say, as long as it's not hateful, as long as it's not hurting nobody. You know, you should be. But now it's like, no, you can't say this. Why can't you say it?
Well, the problem is
it's our platform, and
well, hateful. You know, that's what you know. Hateful's when it comes saying what's hateful, it's it's subjective. There's nothing objective about it. You know, I remember a funny story. I remember when I was a kid, I want to say I was like 12 years old. I called some other kid stupid, right? And he starts crying. He runs to his parents and he talks to his parents, and his parents come find me and they go, "Why did you curse out our son?" And I'm like, looking at them, curse out your son? I just called him stupid. And they're like, yeah, exactly. You cursed him out. And I'm just there like, stupid must not be far from the tree. And I walked away because I'm like, seriously? You're telling a 12-year-old that he cursed out your kid because he said stupid? Like, I was just flabbergasted when they said that to me.
It's getting worse. You know, we can go on and on and on and on and on and on about how crazy the world is right now just because of one political party. But you know what? There's educated people right now that is making it worse. These people that, you know, especially, you know, right now, I saw it really, this was the knife thing really flew it over the top for me when a cop saves a girl's life and there's people out there screaming racism. That to me, that I was like, okay, it was here. I was already like through with it. And then it was like, oh, damn. This is like, wow to me. You know, please, let's get Don Lemon and Chris Cuomo off the freaking air. Please, for the love of God. With that said, I want to know a little more about yourself. Tell me, because before I got one more topic I want to bring up. Okay. So tell me about the Right Rican and tell me, you know, give me a little bit about your background because we just kind of just jumped into this. So tell me a little about yourself. Tell me about the Right Rican and, you know, just let people know who you is. That's some Southern talk right there.
Well, you know, I did live in Texas for 6 years, so I do I understand Southern people to an extent. I do say y'all now. You know, it just stuck. I used to say you guys, and living in Texas for 6 years, like I said, made me switch to y'all. It's actually shorter and more convenient. But so yeah, I grew up in the Lower East Side of Manhattan, and born and raised in New York City there. Let's see, I've moved around like ever. I knew when I graduated, I knew before I graduated high school, I didn't want to live in New York anymore. I saw the writing in the wall. I saw the gentrification, how expensive everything was getting. And I'm like, nah, I want out. And, you know, when I met my wife, I remember I was dating someone before her. I told her we need to get out of New York. And she was like, no. So I was like, okay, I'm wasting my time. And that's how I am. It's like, so my wife, I told her, I eventually want to move out of New York. She's like, sounds good to me. I want to get out of here too. And it was like, oh, thanks. And so we moved out wow. It's been maybe over 10 years since we haven't lived in New York City. It's like we lived in Philly for a few years. We lived in Texas, and now we're back in Pennsylvania. But, you know, like I said, I consider myself a more libertarian. What woke me up was 9/11. And when they started chipping away, trying to take away some of our freedoms, I got introduced to someone by the name of Ron Paul. I'm sure you've heard of him. And hearing him speak just changed me. It was just like, you know what? This guy makes sense. And when I remember when he ran for president, and when I remember I changed to Republican just so I could vote for him in the primary. I didn't vote Republican for president, but I voted for him in the primary because I voted libertarian until Trump. Trump was the first time I voted either political party for president.
Yeah. I think the change for me was was Obamacare, because I was all on the Obama train. I was like, yes, finally everybody's gonna get universal health care. And I didn't I was a Hillary Clinton fan in 2008. I voted for Hillary Clinton in the primaries. You know, I was a college student. She was talking about free college. And I was like, yeah, I didn't, you know, it is what it is. You don't know no better. But
I guess being a little older, I guess being a little bit older, you know, my first election was when she ran for senator in New York, and being a Democrat, I was still a Democrat back then. I could not bring myself to vote for her because I knew exactly what she was, a power hungry, what you call LeBron. And
well, I voted 3 times in my life. I voted Gore, Kerry, and Obama.
Wow.
And yeah, that's the only 3 times I ever voted. But as and it was straight, you know, 2000, 2004, 2008. But I think the day of Obamacare was went into effect, I had to go to the doctor. And it was for a sleep study. And they told me how much money I owed them that day. I think it was maybe a week or 2 weeks after it was signed. I don't know. I don't remember. But our deductible went from $1,000 to $5,000. And we were paying $1,100 a month for insurance. And that's like barely what and this was on my wife's plan. And that was barely what she was making every 2 weeks.
Oh, yeah.
And it was like, wait, hang on. We can't even afford to have insurance. So we had to go to All Kids to put our kids on All Kids to make sure they had, you know, government issue insurance to make sure they can have insurance. And then we stayed on a plan. It was still too freaking much. And so we would go to the doctor, and it was like, we can't go to the doctor because we can't afford it. Because we got to reach that $5,000 deductible.
Yeah, yours.
And then this is what we voted for.
Yep, yours was $5,000. I remember my first Obamacare plan. My deductible was $12,000. Like, what the hell am I paying for insurance? What am I paying insurance for?
It was some mafia bullshit. That was some mafia. And then if you don't pay for it, you gonna get hit in tax. I was like, this is some mafia.
Hey,
and right there, I was off the.
It was better paying the penalty than it was getting the insurance.
You ain't never lying. But what would happen if you got hit by like a car?
They said, look, listen. 2 years ago, I had to have emergency hernia surgery. No insurance,
right?
No nothing. I went to the ER. They try to push it in. They're like, we can't push it back in. We're gonna have to do surgery. They knew I didn't have insurance. They still did it. They're not gonna not do it. And I get collection calls because I couldn't afford the whole thing. But
of course,
it is what it is. I mean,
but they still get paid
numbers. They charge you ridiculous numbers anyway. If you look at sometimes, this happens with my son because my son has a special insurance because he's special needs, and sometimes they don't want to deal with his insurance company, so they tell me, "Oh, well, just pay, and that they're going to reimburse you." And I'm like, I'm not going to pay $30,000. Who has $30,000 laying around to go, oh, yeah, I'm going to pay $30,000 and wait, 8 months to get reimbursed for it. I mean, wait 8 weeks to get reimbursed for it. Nobody got time for that.
Right. Well, last topic here. We have a mutual friend. I have a relative, and we talk about the brainwashed people. My family on the Losada side, they are brainwashed like a. I mean, I've been blocked more from my dad will call me up, but what are you doing on Facebook? And you need to just keep your mouth shut. And I was like, I can't. They stay stupid.
Yeah, I know.
I'm not gonna say her name, but we have a mutual friend.
Yes.
She's a relative. She's actually Raphael's niece, and I guess she's like a second, third cousin of mine. I don't know.
If you could trace it, then they're related to you. So that's the way I look at it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's funny. The Lozada family don't know each other. Like you guys, like I think what it is. This is just this may just be a theory of mine.
Okay.
Because I really don't know. Because my dad doesn't talk about the family that much. There's like a group of people, like grandkids wise, that when my father's mom was alive, those kids were like the grandkids. And then you had other kids that never knew the grandparents, and we were one of them. Matter of fact, me and my two sisters were, down here in Alabama. So we never met we never met my dad's parents. My grandmother passed away, I think, the year I was born, and my grandfather lived in Puerto Rico, and I never knew them. I don't even know their names. I've been told their names many times. I don't know. No, I only had one grandparent. Actually, I had my stepmom's parents were more, I consider them grandparents. And then there was my mom's mom. So really, I had three sets. I had three grandparents: Nana and Pawpaw, who was my stepmom's parents, and then there was Mama, who was my mom's mom. I think that's my theory. Is like there's the group of grandkids that knew my dad's my dad's parents.
Okay.
And those were the kind of like the grandkids that mattered, and then everybody else was spread apart over the country.
Well, it's funny. I have something similar with my grandfather because my uncle and my aunt lived in Puerto Rico, and their kids grew up in Puerto Rico, and we grew up in, me and my sisters, we grew up in New York and literally lived in the same building as my grandfather. So we were around him all the time. So they were kind of jealous because we were there. And it's like, they would come once in a while to see him. But, like I said, they get jealous because we were the ones always there. And it's like, it's not our fault that we lived, right next to him. That's just that's the way it is. It's like it's like your favorite uncle, or your uncle, whoever lives closest to you, when you see all the time. That's always going to be Theo. It's not Theo, Larry, Theo, Raul, whatever. That's Theo. It's like it doesn't matter how many other uncles you have. You're always going to have that one uncle that's just uncle. You know what I'm saying?
Speaking of Theo, I'm going to tell you a story, and then we'll close it up. And okay. I want you to tell everybody where you can find the Right Rican. And this is how bad our generation is. So I went to go visit my dad one day. I'm not going to say the name or anything.
No worries. I get it. I do the same thing. I always speak
I'm going to use different states. I'm going to use a different state, and I'm going to use a different name. I'm not going to say the state starts with a T. Okay, here we go. So I was going to visit my dad, and so I knocked on the door and I sat down. He has a little den area. We're in the garage, and he's sitting there watching a Western. And I said, "What's up, Pops?" And he's like, "Oh, nothing much." And then, of course, every time I'm around my dad, he's got something, and it's usually about me. What the you shit? Okay, I didn't mean to come. I really didn't want to come over to listen, but anyway. So I get a phone call. He's cussing at me or doing something. Hold on. I'm gonna tell you how stupid you are in a minute. Hold on. Hello. Hey, Stevie. What's going on? And then he pointed at me. Hey, I'm gonna put this on speaker. I want you to listen to this mother. Stevie, what's going on? How's New Mexico? And he's like, "Oh, Tio, it's good, man. New Mexico's good." Hey, Stevie, you found a job yet? Now, Stevie's in his late 20s, living with his mom. And he's like, nah, Tio, There's no jobs down here, man. You know, it's hard to find a job. Hey, Stevie, you got any Mexicans living down there? Oh yeah, Theo. There's Mexicans everywhere, man. Mexicans just everywhere. It's just nonstop Mexicans. Hey Stevie, do they work? Yeah. They always working. So what's the problem? And then you hear nothing but silence. But with that said, tell everybody where you can now the Right Rican. Tell everybody where you can find the Right Rican. First off, tell everybody why you got started with the Right Rican. And tell everybody where you can find the Right Rican.
Okay. Long and short. Originally, I started a channel. I didn't like what happened was my name got reported one time because I put my name as Carlitos Way. That used to be my actually Facebook name. So when someone actually reported me saying I was using a fake name, and I had to start using my name because I had to go back to my real name because of it. So so when that ended up happening, I was like, you know what? Look, this is stupid. It's too long. I want something more catchy. So I was like, I'm right-leaning. I'm Puerto Rican, the Right Rican. And it was like, oh, you know what? That has a good ring to it. I'm gonna use it. I went on Gmail, said, okay, is there a Gmail for it? Nope. It's mine now. And that's how then I stuck with it. I have it on, I have the Right Rican YouTube, Rumble, Locals, Facebook, Twitter, Parler, Gab, you name the social media site, and I have it. I have that name because just in case if somebody wants to try to squat on it and try to take my name.
Well, there you have it. Carlos, excuse me. We've been friends on Facebook for a while now. We interacted sometimes, probably picking on my cousin. Yeah, and, because sometimes my family will talk stupid, and we have to put them in their place. Like, hey, listen, man. Hey,
look, you're talking out of your butt, saying stupid things that you don't do research about, and then we come in here, and I'm not the type of person just to make someone look stupid. I'll throw in an actual article, and it's like, here, read this, and you can take the horse to the water, but they can't drink. They won't drink it.
No, you know what they come up with? That's some Fox News lies. No, this is from the IRS right here.
This is the Washington Post. It's not a right-wing, website. This is, I love to do that. That's one of my favorite things is to use their own sources against them, because that's the best when you catch them in a lie. But you got to be careful because sometimes they post edit articles and stuff. So you got to make sure sometimes that you have the original. Like sometimes you got to either screenshot it or you have to save it in your hard drive because they'll do that stuff, and it's annoying. It's really annoying. I try not to curse. That's why that's why you always. I try to be good because I, on YouTube, you say certain words, they'll, downrank your channel and stuff like that. So I just how to force a habit when I'm on YouTube. I'll just not say any type of curses just because just out of habit.
It's hard to start. It's hard. Trust me. If you wanted to start a YouTube channel, you should have done it 15 years ago.
I know.
It's hard. I mean, it's hard. I fight for every subscriber I can get. I fight for every guest I can get. Having the Right Rican probably going to hurt my chances. But you know what? Hey, we're honest people, and that's the one thing that we are. Next time we talk, we're going to have to talk about the hurricane. It happened in Puerto Rico because there's a lot of people have different views. But until then, Carlos, it was an honor. It was a privilege. Consider yourself part of the CTS family anytime you want to come on and you want to talk or BS, you're welcome to come on. This is your show now.
Yeah, I appreciate
Anytime you want to come on.
And I also love talking
else,
sports. So, you know, I know you do sports on your channel. So I love,
hey, you need to get
sports.
I got a feeling that I'm going to be on your channel. Well, I got a pretty good feeling that I'm going to be on your. I got a pretty good feeling I'm going to be on your channel.
Since we talk politics on my channel, on your channel, and you're really more sports. So when you come on my channel, we'll talk sports. How about that?
Okay. Hey, maybe I can tell your viewers about how the CTS got started. I don't know.
There you
we'll
go.
Think of something.
Yeah, no, definitely.
We'll think of something. With that said, everybody else, Carlos, you stay on the line. Everybody else, guess what? Hit the subscribe button. Hit that little dot. Let me see. There you go. Wait, hang on. No, there it is. There it is right there. Hit that little dot right there. Don't hit the dot because it's not going to do anything. But what you can do is hit that little subscribe button down there. Hit it. Hit it hard. Hit it hard. And then hit the bell for notifications. Help me feed my kids.
And then go in the description and find my stuff.
With that said, Carlos, stay on the line. Everybody else, I'll see you next Sunday.